The Iron Man is on a roll. John Natale has won 2 races straight in ATV motocross, and combined with carnage for everyone else, finds himself right back in the championship hunt. Can anyone stop the veteran from capturing another title? Welcome to Racer TV's continuing coverage of the 2012 AMA Pro ATV Motocross Championship. Jason Wygant, your host from the Suzuki Sunday Creek National in Athens, Ohio. And this racetrack sweltering with heat right now. Some of the riders out signing autographs to the fans. Yesterday's practice qualifying sessions were a wash in rain and mud. Thomas Brown there out of Texas, one of the many riders happy that the weather is much brighter today. And they're all searching for this guy, Chad Wheaton, on the number 44, your series points leader. And we'll see if he can hold on. We'll see how well this track dries out and if the hot weather is going to affect these riders. Baldwin Motorsports has Josh Upperman's machine ready to go. They are an Ohio-based team, happy to be here. And Joel Hetrick, the number 88 Motorworks Can-Am, fastest in the abbreviated qualifying sessions yesterday. And he wins some money from ATVriders.com for that. So those are just a few of the favorites heading into today's race. And again, heat and humidity and changing track conditions probably going to be the big story today. Now, Wheaton has had a tough go of it the last couple of races. Was just able to claim a podium finish at our last race in Pennsylvania after a first-turn crash in Moto 1. Here's talking to one of our old GNCC buddies, Johnny Gallagher. There's Hetrick. He's got an overall win from earlier in the year. Upperman has been the fast gun off the starting line the last couple of years. Would like a whole shot today. Thomas Brown up on the podium at our last event. But don't forget about John Natale, who runs the number 1 plate as your defending series champ, has won 2 in a row coming into this one. And Natale, here he is rolling to the line, looking to rally here. He is just 15 points behind Wheaton in the series standings. And several different seasons, Wheaton has led the points, only to have something lead to his undoing. And we'll see if he can get back to the top of the board today in Ohio. Going to run 2 motos today. This is moto number 1. And the gate's about to drop, and here we go. And Wheaton going to control it on the inside, putting the Yamaha to the number 1 spot. That's the Wheaton Motorsports Waltz Racecraft SSI decals machine. And it looks like Hetrick into the number 2 position on the Motorworks Can-Am. And then the Baldwin Honda of Upperman, the white machine, in the number 3 spot. Lots of ups and downs here at Sunday Creek. Conditions not completely different than what they would have raced on at our last race at High Point, Pennsylvania. These 2 tracks only lay a couple of hours away from each other. And Hetrick only a few quad lengths away from Wheaton and trying to go to the number 1 spot. And they almost touch wheels. Hetrick not messing around here on lap 1, trying to go for the lead. It's a drag race through a rhythm lane uphill. Hetrick on the outside, that's not going to work. And the 19-year-old out of Pennsylvania is looking to make moves. No surprise, as one of the youngest riders in this pro field, he does not have much patience. He wants to go to the lead immediately, and they've already begun to distance themselves from the riders in 3rd and 4th, and I think that Natale might have snuck his machine in there. No, it is still the number 20 of Upperman in 3rd, but he's under pressure right now from Natale. Now, Wheaton has been in this situation before. He certainly knows how to deal with this kind of pressure. And remember, I just cannot talk enough about the oppressive heat and humidity today. It's easy to come out of the gates flying, but who is going to have the endurance down the stretch? And I think Wheaton knows if he can just kind of weather the storm from the kid, maybe he'll wear down later, because there's no doubt that Hetrick is going for it. And here he goes again. I thought he had an opening as they headed toward that finish line jump. And we begin this lap, and it looks like Hetrick has found a way around Wheaton to get to the number 1 spot. And you know he has speed to burn early in this race. If he could make the pass, he maybe would have enough stuff to pull away, and he does. Just throwing fastballs right now, attacking every part of this racetrack. He's saying to Wheaton and everyone else, this is what I've got. Can you run with it? And so far in this moto, everyone else starting to lose contact with that 88. And Hetrick, when he is on, he is hard to stop. Third in points coming into this one. Now, Hetrick is one of the legends of the youth series of this sport. Started racing at 4 years old, has 7 youth championships to his name, and is now a genuine contender here in the upper limits of this series. Stay with us. Racer TV is brought to you by Can-Am and by Amsoil. Welcome back to Racer TV. Jason Wygant, your host. On the NBC Sports Network, Joel Hetrick is your leader of the Suzuki Sunday Creek National, part of the ATV Motocross Championship for 2012. Hetrick on the Motorworks Can-Am. You'll see it over some of the jumps here, has developed a reputation for the scrub. Now, that's normally a technique you see on the two-wheel side with the dirt bikes, but he's bringing it over to the four-wheel side, and if you watch him closely around this track, there are a few jumps here where he's able to do that. He'll throw the thing sideways in the air. Series points leader Chad Wienen in second. Wienen started the year off on fire. He won 7 of the first 8 motos, but today Hetrick lapping about a second and a half quicker than him and has been able to get away. And Hetrick not completely out of the championship chase either. He is third in points, about 50 behind Wienen. Now the problem there is that 50 points are available on any given day, so it sounds like he's an entire race behind, which he is, but attrition often a big part of this. If Wienen were to crash out, have some mechanical problems, and Hetrick keeps riding this way, he can quickly eat that gap up. And we saw it happen before. Wienen was putting together a phenomenal season early in 2011 and then broke his back and was out for the series. So you've got to think the 44 is playing the long game here. He knows how to win races. He knows how to lead the points. But to be consistent all the way through the season, that has always been the challenge for Wienen. He always seems to be snake-bitten, even when it appears the championship is headed his way. So, the 44, he might just let the kid have it in this mode. It might not be anything he can do about it, but he wants to make sure he keeps all 4 wheels under him in every moto this year. And what can you say about the 19-year-old who is leading, just putting serious distance between himself and everyone else? Now, when we talk about the speed Hetrick has, it's not like consistency is really an issue for him either. He's really only one bad moto this year. It was the very first moto of the season when he was down in the first turn and finished 14th. Beyond that, he's basically been a solid top 3 guy all year long. Speaking of top 3, here is Natali in third. Not able to make a race of it with Wienen or Hetrick today. There is Upperman in the number 4 spot. Those two have flip-flop positions. Upperman was third early on. But there's just something about this racetrack that is working for Hetrick. Remember, fast qualifier yesterday and fastest man on the track so far today. But you have to get through 2 motos to win an overall in ATV motocross. Once this race is complete, we'll be back with a second moto. And you know that the likes of Wienen, Natali, Upperman, and the rest are going to hope maybe some bad luck befalls the number 88, and they can take advantage of it. 5th right now is another Yamaha rider, Thomas Brown, on the T. Brown Motorsports machine, with Mark Madel in the number 6 position. Derek Swartfager is 8th, and that 17 you see there has just gone a lap down. He is in 9th. Jonathan Venjon. So Hetrick has lapped up to the number 8 position on a pretty big racetrack here at Sunday Creek, a facility that also hosts a round of the Can-Am Grand National Cross Country Series that you'll see here on Racer TV as well. And they do run parts of this motocross track, but I'll tell you what, these boys make it look a lot different. When you run a cross-country race here, the track has to be able to be maintained for the entire 2 to 3 hour event. Here we're only running 20-minute motos, so they can tune the track to perfection. You can peek out the jumps, you can change the soil composition a little bit, and if the thing gets too rough or too technical, well, after 20 minutes you can just come out there and grade it. Right now, though, if you're Hetrick, you're going to say don't change anything. Leave it exactly like this for moto number 2. The lead is up to about 7 seconds now. That's not dominant. If there were a big mistake for Hetrick, Wienen could take advantage, but you can see now the kid's got a big enough lead where he doesn't really have to worry about it. 2 laps to go sign is now out, and he knows he can run his own pace. Doesn't need to hang it out too much. Just bring this thing home. Now, Hetrick actually won the overall at round 3 of the series at Budds Creek, but he went 2-2 in the motos. This will be his first moto win of the season, even though he already has an overall win. And I'd say even though he has that overall in his pocket from Budds Creek, this is definitely the crowning achievement so far this season, to go out there, pass your series points leader Wienen, and put serious distance between yourself and him as well as everyone else. No doubt the kid's starting to feel it. There is Natali in third, has done a good job holding off the number 20 of Upperman, but he will not be happy. He's going to give up a couple of points to Wienen. And it's really those two who are the closest. Those are the riders battling for it. If you're Hetrick, you're just thinking race wins as opposed to championship points, because you're not going to win the title unless this rider, Wienen, has some bad luck. So maybe that's the difference. The kid can go out here today and let it all hang out. Wienen has to think about the points lead, has to think about finishing in front of Natali consistently. Hetrick doesn't have anything to think about except shaking some champagne and grabbing the checkered flag. Joel Hetrick, his best performance of the year, dominates moto number 1, and it'll be interesting to see if he can go out there and do it again in the heat of moto number 2, because it's only going to get hotter and more humid later on in the day. Solid run for Natali in third, but you know he's going to want more. We'll be right back. Racer TV is brought to you by Can-Am and by AMSOIL. Welcome back to Racer TV, providing coverage not only of this AMA Pro ATV Motocross Championship, but also the Cross Country Racing Series, which they call the Can-Am Grand National Cross Country Tour. And stay tuned with us on NBC Sports Network all year long for all the coverage from both these championship tours, not only the ATV divisions, but also bike racing on the woods racing side as well. Here's the results from Moto 1 earlier today in Ohio. Hetrick, Wienen, and Natali are top 3. Upperman and Thomas Brown round out the top 5. We run 2 motos. And here's Wienen second in that first race. Would love to come back and beat Joel Hetrick here in Moto 2, and that would switch up their positions in the overall for the day. Natali in third knows he needs to put his Can-Am in front of Wienen here to get some points back. And Upperman here in his home state of Ohio would love to end the day a winner. So let's get ready to go racing in Moto 2. Upperman running the onboard camera. That's a good guy to pick. Normally nails the starts, but it's another SSI Decals Whole Shot Award for Chad Wienen. He grabbed it in Moto number 1. He has it in Moto 2. This time it's the Can-Am of Natali right behind him. And where is Hetrick? Buried. Looks like outside of the top 5. So this is Wienen's opportunity to try to get away. And as they say, make hay while the sun shines. While the kid is back there trying to open up as big a lead as possible. Hetrick is 5th. Wienen with Natali behind him. You've also got Upperman and Thomas Brown in the mix as well. High-speed section here. Upperman looks like he's actually gotten around Natali, and there is Hetrick trying to follow him through. So Hetrick up to 4th, has gotten around Thomas Brown, who's gone to the back of this train. Upperman is fired up in this moto. Looks like he's actually closed a little bit on Wienen. He wants to go for that number 1 spot. Upperman out of Louisville, Ohio, has got a lot of friends and family cheering him here. Of course, that Baldwin Motorsports team based in this area as well. They've had a lot of success in this tour a long time, going back to the days of Tim Farr, who won a bunch of championships at this level for Mark Baldwin and that team. And they would be pumped to get a moto win today. It might not be enough to win the overall, but he is definitely going after Wienen. We've got the GoPro on board, and look at how close he is to the Yamaha rider in a couple of these corners. You can also see how hard these guys are pushing on a rough racetrack. Let's hop on board. And also remember how hot it is today. Searing heat and humidity. So these guys are pushing for all they're worth. They're just being bounced and bucked all over the place. And they've got to deal with the elements. Wienen right now trying to stay as smooth as possible, conserve as much energy as he can. And I believe he's stretching back out a bit over Upperman. But look who's up to 3rd. It's Hetrick, who has now picked off Natali. So the kid beginning to stir. We'll see if he can go after Upperman for 2nd, and would there be enough time to get Wienen? Or will the start ultimately do in the 19-year-old, who dominated the first race earlier today? Here he is closing the gap on Upperman. Now, to give you the idea of the lap times, Upperman has responded. He was running 144 laps. Hetrick was closing. They're now down to the 143s, but Wienen has gotten into the 142s, and you can see the reflection of that. He has pulled away from this battle for second, and usually when two riders hook up like it looks like Hetrick and Upperman are about to, that's only going to slow them up even more. So this is a scenario that Wienen needed, these two to battle each other. It's going to cost him some time. It's certainly going to take a lot of energy in this heat, and it could be just a ticket for Wienen to score a moto and overall win here. Let's see if Hetrick can try to make short work of Upperman, or is he going to get a fight? And if that's the case, it could really impact the way this plays out for Wienen in the lead as well. And here he is. Wienen still with those 142 lap times. He knows it's go time. It's his opportunity to get away. Oh, and Hetrick looking to make a move on Upperman. He was on the outside heading into this right-hander, but was able to complete the pass before they got there. But then up on two wheels, opening the door back up, and just able to hold Upperman at bay. Hetrick into second, and now wants to go to the lead. Stay with us. Racer TV is brought to you by Can-Am and by Amsoil. The battle is on here at Sunday Creek in Ohio. Chad Wienen, your leader here on Racer TV at the Suzuki Sunday Creek National. And Jason Weigand, I'm your host. The gap was about 3 seconds between Wienen and second place Joel Hetrick once Hetrick made the pass for the number 2 spot. But I think that the hard riding that Hetrick had to do to get to that second place position has taken the wind out of his sails. Wienen has stepped it up. He just turned in his fastest lap of the moto with a 142.6 and has begun to extend the lead. It's now about 5 seconds over Hetrick. So we knew that the heat and humidity would be a factor out here. Wienen got the good start. He was able to run a strong pace up front, while Hetrick has really had to stretch his legs to try to come through traffic, and I think it's taken too much out of him. Thomas Brown, a nice run. He is up to 4th ahead of John Natale. So Natale's 2-race win streak is most definitely going to come to an end today here in Ohio. And Wienen is going to get a bunch of championship points back. Here is Hetrick at the number 2 spot, running out of time, running out of distance, and maybe running out of energy if he wants to go after Wienen. And I'm not bagging on the kid here. That's just a fact. When you've got to pass 4 or 5 riders, which he has done, you have to work very, very hard to do it. Wienen has just maintained a solid pace out front. No signs of fatigue for the big man out of Galena, Illinois on the Yamaha who's out front. He's just been smooth all day. I don't think he wasted any energy in the first moto either, so he has managed the race day all day long, whereas Hetrick has had some ups and he's had some downs. He's had to dig himself out of traffic in this one, and I think it might have taken just a little bit too much out of him. And now, with 2 laps to go, Wienen is looking to get back into victory lane. This would be his 4th overall win, and it is just round 7 of the series, so there is no doubt that Wienen is the man to beat, and maybe his own worst enemy. Hetrick, who's not giving up down the stretch here, has proven that from time to time, he can run with and beat your series points leader. Natale can say the same thing. But consistency-wise, Wienen has been there week in and week out, and his points lead is going to stretch today. We might be getting late enough in this series, with just 3 races to go, where these other riders are going to have to hope for a mistake from Wienen or maybe force him into one. But he has been down this road before. He has led the points. He has been beset by injuries or crashes or mechanical problems. Maybe even at times the pressure has gotten to him. Whatever it is, he knows what he has to do this year, and we'll see if Wienen can continue this run down the stretch. There's Joe Bird, multi-time champ of the series. Tough day for him today. The gentleman-like move, he's actually signaling Wienen and probably Hetrick as well where they can get around him so he does not slow them as a lap rider. There's 3rd place Upperman, a good solid run there. People will be happy to see him on the podium for this moto. How about Hetrick? How about Hetrick still digging deep? Has that 5-second gap now down to about 2.5 seconds. But a big part of that is Wienen backing the pace down with that lead. He's running a 1:47 lap time, where at one point he was running a 1:42. But Hetrick can see him on the same straightaway. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get him. You see him throwing that thing sideways as he likes to do over those jumps. No, he's not going to have enough time. Chad Wienen is going to go 2-1 on the day and win the overall, and showing the toughness in oppressive heat and humidity here in Ohio. A good race day for Hetrick. He's going to end up edged out for second overall, and takes the knuckles from his teammate Natali. Here's the overall results. Up edge Natali on the podium. Let's talk to our winner.
We came away with a really good weekend. Actually pulled 2 hole shots and had a good race with Joel the first moto, and he was riding really well. Got around me, and I knew that if I consistently stayed in second place and that I could get the overall in the next moto if I was able to position myself, and came out of the gate great and hole shotted and just never looked back. With that, having a really good weekend with points as well, and we were able to gain a handful of points, and we're 24 up right now, and looking forward to the next weekend that's coming up at Unadilla.
Here's the Can-Am turning point of the race in Moto 1. A good start for Joel Hetrick. He was able to get around Chad Wienen and pull away from there, put on his best performance of the year and win the Moto. But in Moto 2, a bad start. Hetrick nowhere to be seen, while Wienen pulled his second hole shot of the day and was able to pull away and win the Moto and the overall. And Wienen has extended the points lead over John Natali. Congratulations to him. For everyone at Racer TV, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching.